We'd like to welcome you back to the Barber Biz Podcast. I'm your host, Dan Brown. And of course, our episode is sponsored by soc.consulting. And for today in our podcast, we have my guy at Lavish Grooming, Lancey. What's going on? You doing all right?
Man, what's going on? I can't complain at all, man. Getting ready for this Christmas holiday. How about yourself?
Yeah, I'm doing well, man. Just looking forward to the break. I'm looking forward to being able to just kind of kick back, just like everybody else.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So, hey, man, we appreciate you joining us. You were kind of suggested, and you were kind of, somebody made sure that that you came my way. Guy Spud Cuts. You know what I'm saying? Like he said,
my God.
Make sure you get my guy Lavish. Make sure you get Lancey. So.
Yeah, that's my guy right there, man. Great barber, great person.
That's what's up, man.
Yeah, I appreciate that big time for him. Big time.
So where are you from originally?
So I was originally born in Birmingham, Alabama, but I tell people I'm from Atlanta though, because I've been here since I was a kid. So
okay,
this Atlanta is definitely home for me.
Okay,
yes, sir.
How long have you been in the business?
I've been in the barber industry now for this year makes it 4 years. I got my license 3 years ago, but I joined school in the end of 2016, I believe it was. The end of 2016, I joined barber school. Took a year for that to get done. And then I got my license within, I think, it's 2017. Yep. So 2017, I became officially a barber.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely seems longer.
So did you cut hair at all before you went to barber school or not really?
No, not at all. Actually, I was in college. I went to Georgia Gwinnett College, and I was majoring in physical training. And because I always played basketball. I was a sports player. I always played every sport you can think of except for hockey, golf. But everything I just was big fanatic of sports. And I would play basketball all my high school life, and my junior year I started catching blood clots, so I couldn't play basketball anymore. So because of that, I always wanted to stay, with the game, and physical training was going to be my next, step to do that. But in order for me to get into like the league and actually get these jobs and everything, I would have to stay in school for like 10 plus years. Get my PhD, continue to go back to get further education. And to be honest with you, I didn't have the discipline to do nothing like that.
I feel you.
So yeah.
So what made you? What caught your eye in terms of starting to be a barber?
So well, honestly, I didn't want to do it. My dad was the one that put me on to it. So I was working at Olive Garden, and I was a dish pit guy. And on 4th of July one year, they had me working a double. And so I came in, I think it was at 9 a.m. and I wasn't supposed to get off until like 6. So at first it was all good and everything. And I'm a very patient guy. I don't take, I don't really get out my character too often. But this particular day, I happened to look at the schedule, and I noticed how they didn't have nobody scheduled, but they had like 4 people working, and they had doubles or whatever. So I just went and talked to the manager, and I was like, man, I don't think that's right, or talking for everybody else, because we have families just like everybody else, and you let all these people take off, and now you have us having to work day hours. So he was like, nah, I understand and everything. So I ended up having to do salads, and I had never made a salad in Olive Garden, so that's when it really became a problem. So so 6 o'clock rent came around, and when I told the manager, all right, 6 o'clock here, I'm ready to go. My family having a good get together. It's time for me to get up out of here. Well, the general manager came up and was like, nah, you staying, and you're not gonna get off until I tell you to get off. And at that point, it took me overboard, and I was just like, you know what, man, y'all can have this job. Took almost my apron off, walked out to the car. So about 2 weeks later, my dad talked to me, and he just kept it real. He was like, all right, well, you're not in school no more, and you don't have a job. So he was like, you can't be in my house with neither one of those going on. So it's either you go to the military or you find a trade. and the trade was barbering. And he said, try it out, see if you like it. And like I said, it took me a year, got into the barber school, man. And within that year, I learned so much about myself, about life, and about this industry, man. And everything, the rest is history, for sure.
What did you learn about yourself while you were in barber school?
For one, I learned that I need to start listening more. I was a hothead. That was my biggest problem with basketball. That was my biggest problem out of life, period. You couldn't tell me nothing. I thought I knew it all. I'm a smart person, but yeah, I don't know if you ever heard it saying, I'm pretty sure you have, that you could somebody's too smart for their own good.
Yeah.
That was me. You know what I'm saying? I knew too much, but I didn't know nothing at all. And it was funny because the way God works, he will let you know who you are by making other people tell you who you are multiple times. So like every step of my life, I had that being told to me. When I was playing basketball, coaches used to always say, you know a lot, but you don't know nothing at all. My dad used to always tell me, you know so much, but you really don't know nothing. So barber school really taught me that, because at that point, I'm trying to cut hair. Mind you, like I said, I never cut anybody hair in my life. Don't know nothing about a clipper. And I'm trying to cut, and because I'm watching people on YouTube or something like that, I feel like I'm doing the same thing that they are. And the instructor would be like, well, I see what you're trying to do, but why don't you just do it this way? I'm like, well, they told me to do it this way. So, the instructor, man, they'll be like, well, we get paid to come here and help you. We not just here just to waste time. So either you're going to listen to us, or you're going to sit there and be the same person you are when you started this career. And then that's where you're going to end this career. So I had to, that was the biggest thing, is listening and humbling myself to understand that I don't know everything at all, no matter what stage that I get on.
Yeah. So just not to get too sidetracked, but because I'm big in the sports too. So I'm
okay.
Just curious. So what's your number one sport? Your number one sport's basketball?
Yes, sir.
You have a favorite team or player or what?
My favorite player is Kevin Durant.
Kevin
Durant is definitely my favorite player.
Okay.
That's my guy. I've been studying him for a long time, man.
So did you like pattern your game after him, or do you?
Nah, it's funny. I didn't pattern I patterned my game after Joe Johnson. It was two things about Joe Johnson that really caught my eye. For one, it was his waves. I always wanted waves, and he had the smoothest haircuts of all time. So like I actually just met Joe Johnson about 2 weeks ago. I was cutting his son's hair. Didn't even know it until his son told me. So so he came in. When he came in, I was just talking to him. That was one of the first things I told him. I said, I patterned my game after you, but the biggest thing I took away from you is I wanted my hair just like yours. So we and him laughed for a long time about that, man. But yeah, that was what I patterned my game after. He was just so smooth. Everything he did was smooth, man. So that was me.
He was definitely underrated,
oh yeah.
He was underrated because, so I'm originally from Boston. So Boston, the Celtics drafted him. So
yeah.
I remember when the Celtics drafted him, I just wish that we had more patience and really kept him, because I always looked at him as like he's a good number one, but a great number two. But
he is.
But that's a whole nother. And it's funny you said that about the haircut thing, because like between me and my brothers, like we would sometimes talk about like in the NBA who had like the most crisp haircut or the most lineups or whatever. Like Joe Johnson was always up there. Jim Jackson, I don't know if you remember Jim Jackson.
Yes, sir.
He was always on point. But
yes, sir.
Yeah, we're gonna have that conversation offline. But that's pretty funny though.
Yeah, man.
So you're in barber school. You get out of barber school. Did you just start in a shop that you already knew of, or did you bounce?
Yeah, so within 2 weeks of being in barber school, I got into the shop that I was already going to get my haircut while I was in high school or whatever. And so when the owner used to cut me and my dad's hair, and when he found out that I was in barber school, he was like, well, you can come in to here and I really teach you how to cut hair, because the barber school, he actually went to the same barber school as me, which is Pro Way. And he was saying that Pro Way, they teach you the basics very well, but they don't teach you the tricks and the things like that you need to really withstand in the barbershop. So he opened up the chair, opened up a chair for me, and yeah, like I said, within 2 weeks I got in there, and on through barber school I was going back and forth, which really I don't suggest other people do.
Well, so how come you wouldn't suggest it? I mean,
Because
in your
man,
opinion.
in my opinion, just speaking for myself, when I was in the shop and when I got onto the floor in barber school, I would put the shop, of course, because you get paid there.
Yeah.
I put that over being in school. And what happened is, of course, you started falling behind. And my thing was, man, once again, hothead, not able to tell me nothing. Man, these barber instructors, they don't know how to cut hair, they in there.
Yeah.
These dudes over here, they putting the sharp lines on people, they getting paid, whatever. So, I've seen that, but at the same time, I forgot to humble myself and had to tell myself, they doing that because they went through the barber school already.
Yeah.
They have years on you of being able to learn different routines, different tricks and things like that. But you have to get the foundation of anything before you can get the big rooms and all the other the gadgets and stuff like that. If you don't know how to do the basic things, you would not be able to do the advanced things. So that's why I wouldn't suggest that, because I know how easy it is to get distracted by the shop life, especially around times like now where we got Christmas, back to school, Thanksgiving, things like that. You're thinking only one thing: well, I'm being able to bring in a bunch of money, even though I don't know what I'm doing. I can cut it even all over a couple times, and I can get a couple $100 real quick. Well, yeah, you could, but you got to sacrifice those $100 to make $1,000 a week, or however, whatever your goal is for a week. You gotta make that sacrifice right now.
Yeah.
Sure.
And a big shout out to Pro A. I don't. It's funny because we're actually about to have a couple instructors that teach at Pro A on the podcast, and like people,
okay.
Sometimes people be surprised because I work at a different school, but I'm like, you can't have every student in the state of Georgia. We're all trying to do the same thing. So I don't.
It's a big family. It's really a big family.
Yeah. So big shout out to Pro A. And that's some good points that you brought out. Just making sure that you kind of stay focused and don't get distracted, because, like you said, I went through the same thing when I was in barber school years ago. When I started working in the shop, not long before I graduated, it was like you said, it's like you kind of feel like you've already had the cheat code because you've already had a taste of the money. You're going back to school like second guessing.
Man, come on, right? Yeah, like, man, I don't need this, but you really do.
And the other part about that too is, nowadays we have to have like a balance between, the fact that we all watch YouTube, we all watch barbers that are online, and at the same time, school has value too. So it's like you got to you have to be able to embrace both, and even as an instructor now, that's one of the things that I can still appreciate is there are barbers that are primarily on YouTube that aren't instructors, but they do great work.
Yes, sir.
So you have to really be able to kind of humble yourself on both sides to see the value in both. So
got to, for sure.
So one of the things that I noticed when it comes to your work is that you take great pride in the pictures and the quality of the pictures that you take.
Yes, sir.
What is it that kind of like drew you to do that?
I had the opportunity, the great opportunity to work with Hawk the barber. And that's something he's big on. When he taught me how to really use all your lighting in the picture and make sure that you angle the camera right so everything is hitting that haircut. When he taught me that, man, it did wonders. That was like the biggest thing. And then on top of that, I always prided myself on, if I'm going to post something, it's going to be quality.
Yeah.
To influence another barber to, like me or influence these barber companies, because those are not the people that's paying me. I want the customer, the people that's going on there to search for different barbers. I want them to go on there and be like, okay, well, this guy does great quality work all around. Do quality work with just his haircuts. Well, man, he takes pride in taking pictures, or he takes pride in the music that you're listening to, something like that. So that's my biggest motivation behind taking making sure everything is just of quality on there.
So what would you say is your specialty? So are you in a shop or a suite? I forgot to ask.
I'm in the suite. I'm in the personal suite.
Okay. So what would you say is like what separates you from anybody else who's either in a shop or another suite? What makes you different and set you apart?
Customer service for sure. I pride myself on making sure that I keep my clients. I like to make my clients feel like they're more than just clients, and I'm very good at that. I tell people all the time. Like I told a couple of the students at the cut party thing that we had not too long ago. You want to make sure that your clients feel like they're family at the end of the day, because when people feel genuine love on you, they don't have to, fake the funk with you. They're gonna tell you the truth. They're gonna let you know, like, hey, bro, you slipping, or man, you doing a great job. Or you can take it to the advertising space. You don't have to go out and really pass out a lot of cars if you don't want to. You have a walking billboard when they leave their chair. So when your clients leave their chair and they feel like they family, when somebody come up to them like, man, who cut your hair? It's more than just, oh man, lavish grooming over there. It's more like, man, his name is Lavish Grooming. His real name is Lance. He go his number, he go his car, whatever. They gonna do your job for you, honestly. So that's why, like I said, that's why I like to. That's my biggest thing is customer service, and I feel like everything else will come after that, because I can recall days before I had the customer service part when I was just cutting, and I wasn't that good, but people genuinely like me, and I wouldn't, know why. You know what I'm saying? And people gave me continued opportunities, even though I'm messing their heads up. They walking back, walking out with pushback lines, fades not good, but they still came back to the chair. And I had to really, I had to ask myself, well, why is that happening? And the biggest thing was, man, you a great personality. You have made everybody feel equal. I don't care, if you're wherever you come from, wherever walk of life you are. I'm coming to you and you're coming to me. So we gotta do something. You're in my chair for an hour, whatever. So we're gonna make that hour count with each other. So I think that's the difference between me and whoever else.
So at what point did you feel like, after you got out of school, at what point did you feel like you were confident no matter who was sitting in the chair?
Honestly, I just started feeling like that now.
Okay.
And the reason why is, if you ask anybody that's been with me along this journey, I am a huge critic of myself, like almost to a fault. So like, I always feel like, and not that I'll compare myself to anybody, but when I get on Instagram or whatever, I'm looking at all these different cuts. I'm always finding a way to, okay, how can I get my cut to look like that? Even though it might already look like that, I always feel like, nah, it ain't like that yet. And the reason why is because when I first started learning how to cut hair, and the owner of the shop that I was working in, which is Hair King Barber Shop out here in Gwinnett, the owner, John, he's always, he stay on me. He always used to say, don't get comfortable. And because of that mindset right there, it stuck with me. And like I said, to this day, I still had that feeling of, I still got a long way to go, because mind you, I'm only 4 years in, really. So like when I get around other barbers like a Honk or like a Spud or whoever, man, they put out such great work that I'd be like, man, I still got some ways to go.
Yeah.
For sure.
Big shout out to Hair Kings. I actually know John too as well.
Okay, yeah.
So I'm actually in Gwinnett. So like a lot of times, if my wife doesn't cut it, or if I don't just cut it myself, or if I
Right.
let one of my students do it, then I stop in there from time to time too.
That's
So
dope. That's dope.
So I noticed that I actually, was told by a bunch of my students that they had met you at the spot at Keen Cuts at that event.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So what was it like, or really, how did you link up with Jimmy and those guys to be able to do that?
Man, so it's funny, me and Jimmy, we had never met before that day, honestly. We had talked a couple times over Instagram. We liked each other pictures, gave each other, we always showed each other love, for the quality of work or whatever. And one day he just randomly hit me up and said he was having this event, and man, he would love if I came out or whatever. I said, bro, that's not a problem at all. I'm there. And when he told me what the function was and what it was gearing towards, I definitely wanted to do it then, because at the end of the day, like I tell people all the time, you have to start somewhere. Somebody reached out and helped you. You would not be doing your job on this earth if you didn't go back and reach out and help somebody else. So when he told me what it was, man, I said, yeah, I'm there for sure. And yeah, that's how that happened.
So what are some things that you have on tap for the future? What are you doing? What are you working on to be able to kind of push your brand forward? Going forward for 2020. Was it 2021? 2021.
2021. It's crazy to say. Yeah, so 2021, I'm actually opening up a bigger private suite, exclusive suite. Hopefully I have somebody that wants to join the lavish grooming family, whatever. I'm looking forward to doing that. Looking forward to start making up some products. Definitely tapping into that part of the industry, bringing a lot more services. I'm definitely going to sign up with Israel with his classes, because he's bringing a great thing to the industry that we all need. I don't care what step, what level you are at. If you're not giving those extra next level services, you won't get what you really want, or what you're really seeking out of this industry. So I'm definitely going to tap in with him so I can add these services, to my repertoire. And I'm just looking forward to continue to get better, continue to let God flow through me, and let Him guide my paths, man. 2021 is definitely going to be a year that I pray that it's going to be way better than what this year was. Not saying that this year was bad, but as far as just the surface of things and how everything is going, I pray that everything goes well, man, for sure.
That's what's up. Well, we appreciate you stopping in today. So real quick, because I have to ask this. So let's see if we can come up with a top 5 NBA haircuts or lineups. Just
NBA top 5 haircuts or lineups.
So we said we'll take Jim Johnson. Not Jim Johnson. Joe Johnson.
Joe.
You gotta have Jim Jackson. Jim Jackson was always
got to. Yeah. That's a given. Those two are definitely a given. Devin Booker. If I had the opportunity to cut anybody in the NBA, whether that was legendary or today's time, not Jimmy Butler, Devin Booker is definitely at the top of my list, because he has that hair, he gets that fade that I love to do, the drop fade. Yeah. So it's Devin Booker.
And plus 2, he has a good contrast because of the darkness of the hair with the
Exactly. So yeah, Devin Booker for sure. That's 3. Ooh. Jason Tatum. I like, because he has that super just laid down. It's really difficult to cut, but that's why I want to cut it though. So yeah, him. And then my last one will be.
So I'm gonna throw this out there. I shouldn't have did this, but I texted my brother. I texted one of my brothers. I was like, "Hey, what are the names for the top 5 lineups?" He was like, Jim Jackson, Joe Johnson, Jason Tatum, and this is literally right when you said Tatum, right?
That's crazy.
So he put one on. He said Paul George. I'm like,
yeah, Paul George. But see, the only thing about Paul George, I think he has that protruding like forehead. So it was like, if you don't hit it right, it's like it's slanted a little bit, because I just seen a couple times where it happened. So but I wouldn't put him in my tops though.
So this is what we'll do. So the
Donovan Mitchell is definitely one.
Oh, that's another good
Donovan Mitchell has the hair too.
That's another good one. So is that 4 or is that all right? So we're gonna call
that's 4. So the last one is tough.
So we're gonna call it. We're gonna pause at that, right?
Okay.
Now, but in 2021, once you get the next person in the suite, you know what I'm saying, you level up on, and then you on TV somewhere or whatever, and we bring you back to the interview. Then we'll make sure we have the top 5. Like,
you got to.
All right.
You got to. I appreciate you for putting that out there for me, man. Putting it out in the atmosphere. Appreciate that.
All right, man. Well, Lance, we appreciate Lavish Brewing. Make sure you guys check him out. We're looking forward to be able to see all the big things he's doing in the future. We appreciate you joining us for today, and we look forward to the next interview.
I appreciate you guys, man. Much love.
Absolutely, man.